Hey everybody, welcome back to yet another Rocket League news video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about a recent interview from Andrew Hayward, where he interviews Psyonix regarding the new circuit format as well as teams currently leaving the league. Team BDS is going to be signing extra, additional details on BTS starting today and more. And if you guys would like to show more support, down below in the description you can find links to all these social medias. And while you're there, if you enjoyed the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. And if you want to make sure you don't miss out on any of the videos, make sure you guys hit subscribe and turn on notifications. 17,500 people. Absolutely unreal. So if you guys don't know Andrew Hayward, he is a longtime esports journalist and has been writing articles for quite a while. I ended up meeting him, I think, in LA at RLCS 3, where he ended up doing an interview and talking for an extended period of time. He almost always provides well-researched topics as well as provides history leading into what he's talking about, which really grips you into a story that he's trying to articulate on a paper. The other reason why I like him is the questions that he asks are straight to the point and they provide a level of info as long as the people receiving the question are willing to elaborate on it. Yesterday, an article that was published on the Esports Insider with Andrew Hayward writing it, titled Psyonix Discusses Shifting RLCS to Events Circuits, Feedback from Teams. It talks about how over the last 9 seasons, it gives a little bit of history that rather than going to a biannual event, we're switching over to a year-long 365-day cycle with the World Championships in 2021. He puts emphasis on 2 major things. The first one being that this new format is going to provide a lot of flexibility, which we'll dive into here in a bit, and the fact that despite all the issues going on, that there are still some teams starting to leave. He then further talks about how he took time to sit down with Psyonix Esports Program Specialist Corey Lanier, who you guys have heard me talk about a lot recently, primarily because of the announcement from RLCS X on Twitch Rivals, and Murdy Shaw, also known as Shice, who used to be with Rival Esports. With the major topics, they focus on the origin of the new system, communicating with organizations, and the possibility of returning to live Rocket League events, because a lot of us are desperately missing live events. I, as a freelancer, can't express how much I do miss live events. They are one of the major reasons why I do my job and why I love it so much. I do recommend, link is down in the description below. I highly recommend go and check that out. Read it for yourself. There's a lot of information in here. Even though some of the answers are more of like a PC-friendly kind of business response, there is still some really good things in here. So the initial question starts off with them asking about when did this whole concept begin? And Corey Lanier ends up talking about how when he originally first got hired, same thing for Murdy, it was kind of in conversations, and this is roughly 3.5 years ago. The conversations really started to begin back in August and has kind of been an ongoing discussion of when are we going to flick the switch? When are we going to, as they say, pull the lever and really go forward with this? The tail end, something that I find really exciting is that they say that this is the best year to start laying the foundation for the beginning of Rocket League esports. From the whisperings that I've been hearing, and I did mention this in a video a couple weeks back, that apparently this is just the beginning. There is things that are supposed to be coming that are going to be groundbreaking for esports that Rocket League is trying to go ahead with. They talk also about how the pandemic really isn't the reason why this came to be, and that this structure was actually meant to be flexible in the first place. The ability to kind of pick and choose what events are live as compared to online. And this is something that a lot of you guys have been asking about, is what is going to happen to the ELEAGUEs and the DreamHacks and the WSOEs and all these other majors that we've come accustomed to. And that's the best part about what they're trying to do, is that this system, depending on what the circumstances are, in our case, the global pandemic of COVID, right now we're just simply not allowed to do these events. We can't. So for events like the majors and the regionals that are going to be coming up for the fall split, we simply just can't do them offline. It's just not allowed. Because of that, they have the flexibility, and this is what they've been talking about throughout pretty much this entire article, is the ability to basically state, like, you guys know for the first time ever, a schedule of when things are going to be happening for Rocket League. We've never shown this much before. So for tournament organizers or people that want to sponsor an event like a DreamHack or WSOE, they look at the schedule and say, okay, we can host one of these. And the best part is it's going to tie in to the overall story of the World Championship. It's not just a random one-off event that's like, yep, this is the WSOE event. It's sick. Okay, it's done. It actually provides basis of a storyline that's going to be further developing through every single event that goes on. So if you look back at 2019, there was 4 DreamHacks, and each DreamHack was kind of allocated its own thing. They didn't really have any continuation. There wasn't a storyline, other than the fact that we got to see 32 teams come down and compete, and the competition itself was awesome. But imagine if each event, whether it be a DreamHack, a WSOE, an ELEAGUE, they all tie together. All the points you earn from every single event matters. your performance in this one is just as important as this one. But that continuation of story plus the flexibility of, you know what, it can't happen. It's just going to be an online thing. We'll take care of it as Psyonix. Or an offline event can actually happen after COVID kind of goes past. And all of a sudden you're seeing like, okay, DreamHack wants to put on an event. It's going to be in Leipzig again. We'll take this one, but it's still part of the regional events. And in Europe, anybody who is in that area can go and attend. So I think this level of flexibility is actually a really cool concept. And I like the fact that they can just kind of plug and play as long as the factors that really go into it work out and pan out. Again, my favorite thing about all of this is the fact that we know ahead of time when these events are actually happening. It allows people to prepare and kind of plan around. Yes, I may not know exactly where it's going to be, or I may not exactly know what's going to happen, but I know if it's an NA regional event, it's going to be somewhere in North America around this time. I should probably start saving up for it. Or if it is an international event, I know I may have to travel across seas. I know it's going to be roughly in this time. I plan to go. So these details being out are so beneficial for not only us as consumers and people that want to watch, but also the people trying to plan trips, the organizations trying to make content, and Psyonix, I think in general. There's expectations that they have to now deliver on because they have put out a physical schedule saying this is roughly on when this stuff is supposed to be. And if they don't, they're going to piss off a lot of people. They then go on to further talk about some of the upsides of to what this structure is. And the biggest one they talk about is the thing that I mentioned a lot towards the tail end of one of my other videos a couple days ago. And it's the fact that it's open to everybody. I talk about the mentality of Psyonix and how they've always wanted to incorporate whether you are a nobody or the highest level pro like an Astral or a Cypical or whoever. It does not matter. No matter what your level of play is, you have the opportunity to compete in something that is a part of the RLCS, whether it be the grid, the field, it does not matter. Whether it is a daily event or a weekly, a monthly, or a yearly event like the World Championship, you have the opportunity to feel like you are a part of something more. The other thing that I really like that Corey ends up talking about is the fact that as a new fan, it's a little bit easier to understand what you're getting into. When you were a new person entering the RLCS in the past, you would join a season. There's a bunch of different roster changes. You don't know who's who. As someone who is well versed in this space, I'd have to be like, okay, buddy, so this team has won a bunch. They're easy to follow. And that was the benefit of Dignitas is you could just be like, yep, they're the dynasty per se. Just follow them. They're the best if you want them. Otherwise, all these other guys are kind of underdogs. But when rosters and teams change all the time, it makes it very difficult to provide storylines and talk about rivalries unless you have a really good grasp on the scene. And luckily, because I've been a part since the very first day, I have that opportunity, but there's a lot of people out there that don't. You can kind of just look at the leaderboards and go, yeah, these are the teams. If you want to pick one who's kind of an underdog, that's the guy to go with. But if you want the best of the best, right now they're in the lead. Follow them. Other than that, they kind of detail the fact that they express the understanding that it is going to take some time to get used to. Obviously, people were used to a very simple system with the RLCS and the RLRS, but just like that, when the RLRS was introduced, a lot of people were confused, and then they got used to it. This should be no different. You get more of a business answer when Andrew ends up asking them about how Cloud9 CEO's Jack ends up asking and talking about how the game needs a, quote, more team-friendly environment and how they respond to it. They don't really address it directly, but they do talk about how they're trying to create a foundation for what Rocket League Esports is going to be, and that long-term they're hoping that they can prove and provide that the things that they're trying to accomplish are going to be beneficial for everybody. Essentially what Jack is trying to say is the fact that as a org owner or as a team, not an individual player, when we come in, you guys didn't want to work with us. You try to pay the players directly. You try to make sure that the players have more power. All the focus is on the players, and despite we as an organization footing the bill, taking care of a majority of their well-being, we're basically told that we're on the outside despite putting in and fronting most of the bill. Another reason why I like Andrew immediately after, he asked the question about what about the in-game esports shop item? Are things going to change? What's going to happen to the interface? Are there changes going to be made? Because that's essentially what he's asking about. He wants to know, like, Jack is saying that there wasn't enough for the teams to make out of this. They were spending tons of money and weren't being rewarded. So what are you guys going to do about the thing that was introduced that is supposed to be making the money? They end up talking about how right now the esports shop, they're working on trying to get the new teams in as soon as possible. And they have, quote, some pretty exciting stuff coming up. The esports shop is going to continue to get love. So my concern for that is that you say continue to get love, and I have seen zero love to that shop. Second thing is I don't like the scarcity that the esports shop tries to provide. I don't understand why they feel it's a good idea for me who wants to spend money and support a team, but I can't do it because you've not made them available all the time. I hope that changes. We'll see what ends up happening. Overall, they do say they are trying to refine it and that it is like a, quote, video game where you need to be able to react and listen and then make changes and implement changes for the long term. And then to finish it off, they talk about trying to remain optimistic because they don't know exactly how certain things are going to happen when it comes to live events. But the number one priority is the safety and concerns of all the people like myself, yourself, the players, and the staff. Because we spent so much time talking about that article, because I think there was a lot of really good stuff in there, we're going to start rapid firing through the next ones. Next on the board, yesterday, very early for me, Team BDS teased that they're going to be signing a French player. I assume it's Extra because that's who they've been playing with, and that's who they looked really good with. Many people consider that Extra and this squad with Monkey Moon and Mark by 8 has the potential to rival Vitality, especially with the game house. This could be interesting. Keep your eye on Team BDS and probably announcement sometime today. Speaking of today, BTS Rocket League announces that Summer Skirmish is going to start at 10 a.m. Pacific Daytime, roughly 2 hours after this video comes out for you guys. Best part about the graphic is it details all the dates of what's going to be happening, with the qualifiers being on July 7th, the qualifier finals happening on July 8th, group stage wheel and deal, and my favorite part is the fact that they're going to be running a Mafia tournament online. The fan favorite. Super excited to see CJ screw up yet again. Save Jazzo, CJ. It's not that hard. I also do mention about the open qualifiers and the details. These are the teams that are going to be playing over the course of the open qualifiers, trying to make it into those last 2 spots. Something to note, a couple of those teams still don't have finalized rosters, and I will tell you that some exciting stuff is coming soon, like I love to tease you guys every single time. But rather than being a big old meanie, I'm going to spoil it. Rad Enterprises. Not going to be Rad Enterprises for long, and they've got a third secured. And last but certainly not least, there's a couple community tournaments that are starting or going to be going on over the next course of the week or so. Other than BTS, don't forget you've got the Latin American Championships on the south side in a Swiss stage starting. That'll start on July 8th and go all the way until the 12th. You guys don't know, the kickoff that is put on by APL will be a Middle Eastern tournament only, as well as an Asia tournament starting the day after. So all those details can be found in this post that I'm showing you in this graphic. But again, links can be found in the description down below. That is going to wrap it up for this video. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, ideas, you guys know where to drop those down below in the comments. And while you're there, if you do enjoy the content, make sure to give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and turn on notifications. That way you don't miss out on the best place to find all your favorite Rocket League news. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.